The heightened tensions in the Middle East threaten disruption to global oil supply that could possibly push prices and inflation. And high oil prices will lead to higher fuel prices that will increase logistical costs in the economy. And gold prices went past $2,400 per ounce as investors flocked towards the metal scene as a safe haven overnight amidst the rising geopolitical risks. The metal was trading at just over $2,380 just before midday. All right, let's now get some more analysis on this. We do have a senior research fellow for African diplomacy and leadership at the University of Johannesburg, Dr. Oscar van Heerden. Doctor, as always, thank you so much for joining us. Look, Iranian officials as well as media have confirmed that there was an attempted strike, but are currently downplaying, of course, the significance of it. So what do you think we should make of this? And do you foresee this escalating into a full-blown war? Russia, an ally of Iran, has called for restraint in retaliatory attacks. Please unmute, Doctor.
Apologies.
There you go.
Thanks, Alicia. You know, the reality is that, unfortunately, Iran finds itself in a bit of a catch-22 situation. And what I mean by that is that the Iranian authorities know that Netanyahu's government is wanting to provoke a wider war in order for the Gaza genocide to be lost in the fog of war. Because if there's a broader conflict, all focus will then shift to that particular conflict. And in part, Israel has already succeeded in shifting our attention away from the genocide that's happening in Gaza. So that's the one thing. And the second thing is that the Iranians also can't, they know that they are being taunted to get involved into a wider conflict with Israel, but they also can't not defend themselves. As you know, the retaliation, the attack from Iran a few days ago on Israel was as a retaliation for Israel having bombed the Iranian embassy in Syria, in Damascus. And so you have this catch-22 where if we do nothing and we don't defend ourselves, it means Israel can just attack us consistently, incessantly, and we do nothing because we don't want the focus to shift away from Gaza. But at the same time, we also need to send a clear message that we can defend and will defend ourselves. So that's the catch-22 situation that Iran finds itself in, unfortunately.
Very interesting indeed, Doctor. I mean, we know that Israel, is currently in war basically with everyone here. It's Hamas, it's Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthi movement out in Yemen. How sustainable do you think all these conflicts are, Doctor, particularly in the front of Israel? And what do you think is their end game? What does Israel really stand to gain from all these conflicts besides, of course, international condemnation?
Yeah, you know, Alicia, I think that all these little wars that Israel is picking is just a smokescreen for what they're doing to the Palestinians in Gaza. I won't be surprised within the next few days if the Netanyahu government announces that indeed they're going to do their ground invasion south of Gaza and Rafah, because that is actually the intent. The intention is to get rid of the Palestinians, to force them through the Rafah border into Egypt and then reclaim the Gaza Strip of Israel. That is the intention of the Netanyahu government. Netanyahu is under enormous pressure. No, Alicia. There are many Israelis that are protesting outside Knesset, protesting in Tel Aviv and in Jerusalem, calling for his government to come to an end, calling for him to call elections, because they don't feel that he is engaged in this war to protect the Israelis. They feel that then he's not wanting to return the hostages. In fact, they are saying that he's doing this because he wants to prolong the war in order for himself not to face these legal woes.
Very interesting one, that, Doctor, because, I mean, when we speak of Netanyahu, we know he's got the sound backing of the U.S., and we saw there the decision by the U.S. to veto, of course, the Security Council's resolution that was recognizing Palestine as a full UN member state. Again, my question is, Doctor, what interest is in this for the United States? And I don't think we ask a lot of these questions because it just seems like everywhere there is conflict, the U.S. is going to come with alternatives other than ceasefires or peace talks.
Yes, I mean, we see the double speak and the double standard from the United States. On the one hand, they tell the world that they are very committed to a two-state solution. And then when Palestine applies for that statehood with the United Nations, it is America that then vetoes and says no. And then they still release a statement saying we remain committed to a two-state solution. Like we are in a post-truth era where people say certain things, do other things, and then we are just supposed to believe them that the intention is still there. It is like the Israeli government, who continuously tell the world media that they are wanting to provide humanitarian assistance to the Palestinians. They are wanting to not kill too many civilians, but they do exactly the opposite. So America has with their ally Israel. I think that the relationship is taking strain, but America does not want to admit it. And I think that is why the Biden administration said that any retaliation from the Israelis on Iran, they are not going to support.
And in closing, Doctor, I think I'm losing you there. We're struggling with a lot of technology today, but if you can still hear me, I mean, how real then do you think the fears of a full-blown conflict throughout the world, or even a World War III erupting from these possible tensions could be?
You know, Alicia, that's a very good question. Is the state of Israel was according to the Zionists to create a safe haven and a safe place for Jews. Israel today is nothing but, it is a country that has insecurity, that facing attacks from, as you say, all parts of around them. They had to move about 200,000 Israeli citizens from the north and relocate because they are not attacks from Hezbollah from Lebanon. And now there's this creation of an additional conflict potential with Iran. So, you know, the state of Israel needs to seriously reevaluate what is it that they are doing in terms of supposedly safe space for Jews.